All right, students from 3305. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and break down a lesson plan, and this is going to be the expectations I have for this course in terms of doing your field assignment. So this is a slide from last week where we went in, and I'm going to go ahead and just put this in present mode to see it a little bigger. But this first video is going to cover the first 5 elements that we're looking for. And this is the criteria that is going to be graded. And eventually, this is the same format that you're going to be expected to do for your internship and finally your EdTPA component at the end. So this is essential that you do this way to get used to it so that for the folks that have had other classes, most likely you have seen a lot of the same elements that I'm going to be discussing now. So I've already went ahead and worked through the first 5 of these, and I'm going to give you my thought process as I did this, okay? So I'm going to go back, and first of all, I'm going to minimize this and go get the template for the Troy lesson plan. And I put it inside of our Canvas modules, and it's in module 4, and it should say lesson plan template, okay? And when you click on it, you should get an open lesson plan in a new window. Now, what you'll probably need to do, did not mention this to the other folks, but you will probably be taking and making a file, and you're going to be making a copy, okay? And then from here, you will name it at the very top, exactly what I've got here. You're going to put in your first name, last name, and then you're going to name it Troy Lesson Plan, EDU 3305 Field Assignment. That's a mouthful. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK for right now and let you see it. But it's going to look like that, okay, at the very top. It needs to have your student name, Troy Lesson Plan, EDU 3305 Field Assignment. A lot of words, but that's pretty much what it's going to look like when you go and you make a copy. Now, you won't have everything that I have highlighted. You will have a blank one, okay? So just letting you know that that's what it will occur as you'll get the blank section. And I pretty much have been working through this, and I put notes on here as I move. Okay. All right. So the next thing you'll do is you'll identify the lesson that you've pretty much been working for, as you're about to do a presentation with your students, and you're going to be doing a lesson with your students. Well, I told you that I was going to do one on 7th grade. So I picked my old job that I had as a 7th grade computer teacher, and I taught digital citizenship. Well, because I've already had a lot of materials, and again, you're going to be given materials wherever you go, but if you used like my Common Sense Media and you were going through these activities, right? Well, this would be the one that I'm using. So Common Sense Media, when I went there, let me show you how I got there as well, because I Googled it. So I wanted you to see my thought process throughout this. Common Sense Media, right? That's it right there. And when I click inside of the commonsensemedia.org site, I want y'all to get used to using this because this is free for you to use. And let me go back. I went to the wrong link. Let's go back. And Common Sense Media, and I just need to put in teachers. I think it's going to give me that as well. There we go. I was just on the wrong link. All right. Now you want to make sure you're on the educator portal and not for parents or for advocates, but on the educator portion. And then it says digital citizenship. Remember us doing this from week 1? So I'm showing you my thought process as I moved through this, and then I went down to 7th grade. I'm moving a little quicker because we've done this. But I'm showing you my thought process. I went to the 7th grade, and I was going to do cyberbullying because I hadn't done this one before. And let's see, there it is. Upstanding allies and taking action. So this is a lesson I'm going to use. They give me a lot of material, but I still have to transpose it over into a Troy lesson plan. And that's what I've done. And I'm going to just walk you through what I did. So when I click here, right, upstanding allies taking actions. So that is the title of my lesson plan. Okay, so I have that, and you'll notice that I have a lot of aids that are going to help me moving forward, like learning objectives, key vocabulary. But I've got to rephrase this to make it what the Troy template and what eventually EdTPA is wanting. So that's why I'm kind of giving you this. This is kind of like what you will see. If you were using a teacher's textbook, they'll have standards in their book that you will be able to align and be able to see. So I encourage you to look at their content and their learning objectives. But so that's my title. See that right there where it says Understanding and Allies Take Action Against Cyberbullying. Okay. So I run over to my little sheet of paper here, and that's what I typed right here. See that? So on the right, I'm going to give you this copy. You'll have this. It's going to be in module 4. And before we're done, I'll have you this exact copy with this video. But over on the right, I say include an appropriate title for this lesson delivery. I didn't even rename it. I liked it. It's exactly what I. But if you need to, and you need to make this a little bit better title, you can do that. All right. And the next thing you have to do is identify what grade level that you're teaching with. You see that? And then the date that you delivered this lesson. That's the date I want on here. And then finally, there's another section here that says day 1, lesson 1. That's what it's going to say on everybody's, unless you're doing a lesson that is concurrent from what the teachers have been doing. Okay, I'm fine with that. So let's say that this is day 3, lesson 1. This is the third day of them doing cyberbullying. That's fine for you to put day 3 here. You do not have to put, I know that sounds confusing, but if this is day 1 of a lesson 1, you can leave this alone. Okay, but if it's concurrent session, you're not going to get knocked if you put this is day 3 or day 4, and this is the second lesson of this content that they're doing. That's okay. But I just want to let you know that I'm not too concerned with this, but if it says day 1, lesson 1, you will be fine. Fine? Okay, so that's the first portion of this. And if you go back and you look at our slideshow, right? And our slideshow was here. Number 1, now we've done that. The topic, the target audience, grade level, date of the lesson. Second one, now here's where I've given you the link to the Alabama Learning Exchange, because you need to align this to a standard, which a couple of y'all have had trouble with. So I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. Okay? So I'm going to run over to Alex, which is where I'm at, and I'm going to go all the way back and show how I got to where I was on my standard. So I go here and I type in Alabama Alex. It's just easiest to do at Google. Go to the first link. Now from here, you go to Resources Course of Study. And every course of study, every book that we have with every standard on it is going to be inside of here. Someone brought this up in the other class. Which math do I use, 2016 or 2019? That's going to depend on your school system. Ask them which one they are using. I know as last year, there were some schools still using the 2016 one. It may depend on their textbooks that they're using, but just see which one they're doing so that you're using the appropriate verbiage. Okay, so for mine, I'm using digital literacy and computer science. So when I click there, right, I need to go and find my course of study booklet. That's my easiest way to do it. You see it right here? I have other resources here from Alabama that I can use and delve into to make sure I understand what the standards are, or I could go by grade level. See that? But for right now, I want to go to the course of study document itself. This is that PDF version of it. I find that the easiest way for me to find my standards. Now, you're going to get the book. It's 77 pages long, real long, right? So you want to go to where, for me, I want to go to where it's 7th grade, talking about digital citizenship, right? Doing the right thing. That's what cyberbullying is about, right? So remember, any digital pages like this, you can go and do a Control F find. Very important, but Control F on your keyboard is automatically going to give you a pop-up. And if I typed in 7th grade, that's what I need to do. Look what it does. It jumped to page 40, and there's 2 elements where the word 7th shows up. So if you type out your grade level, it will jump to a particular grade. And there I am. I'm right on 7th grade. So I'm going to scroll down and find out where this lesson would align to doing the right thing. Well, look at there. And that's it. It's going to be the legal and ethical behavior. And then finally, a little further down, I'll notice that take a few minutes and look to make sure you have the right ones. And there's demonstrate a positive, safe, ethical habits. You're going to copy and paste this into that box. And I even went down a little further because I thought this one also was a good one. It was a problem solving one. All seventh grade. Apply problem solving processes to real world problems, which is what this is all about. So look through, take a minute, check out your standards and see what you're addressing. You're going to become an expert on what you teach. Right now, you're just learning what the standards are, what they look like. But this is where we refer to, because if it's not in here, we shouldn't be teaching it. That's pretty much the concept with it, with being an educator, right? Or you have to justify why you're teaching it. So I've taken these three from Design Thinker and a couple of the other ones. Number 30. So you're going to grab that number two, because that 30 means it's the 30th standard in my seventh grade um, course of study for digital learning and computer science. You understand? So if I run over here, these are the ones that I've gotten. Did I have to emphasize the headings? I didn't have to, but I did. Right? You see what I did? In my standards, I copy and pasted them over, and there were two from legal and ethical behaviors, right? Number 10 and 11. And then the digital identity, right, was number 12, and design thinking was 30. It's the layout that I had. If you saw one of my examples that I gave, there was an example. Let me find the one that was given to me. There. Oh, that was me. I had an example that I was looking at. There we go. This is what was turned in that was satisfactory, and they did that. You see the standards on this one? They put reading 1.3, and then they parked it in there. That's fine. I'm just showing you my layout. But if you abbreviated them and made sure that you got their reference, you understand that that's reading 1.3, 1.7, RI 1.1, 1.2. So these are identifying standards that meet this. Now, they may be given to you when you're out by your teacher, and they'll help you, pull them in if you need them. But for the most part, that's how you're going to get your standards moving forward and putting them in. Make sense? So remember, identify the course of study by your subject area. And I'm giving you the directions over here on the right. Do you see that? Click on the course of study document, which is a PDF. Go to the grade level section. Use the Control F search method. Identify the appropriate standard. Copy and paste it into the state standard or extended section, which is right here. All right? Easy peasy. Next, we're going to go to the next level. We just finished applying a state standard. All right? And now we're going to go look at the lesson objectives. Now, your lesson objectives is probably going to come out of the textbook that you've been using if you're teaching something that's aligning to what they've already done. Now, if not, you need to just pretty much make sure that you state it in the right way. When I look at mine, I have learning objectives already right here from my activity. It's kind of nice. So I'm going to go down here and look at these three. There are three. That's perfect. 2 is what you want. 3 is okay. All right. But be careful, because when we do this, right, and the ones that I've shared with you kind of emphasize this. It may not be stated explicitly, but look what these did. These are restated where students are going to do something measurable. Do you see that? And I would like for you to take the action word, the word that kind of tells you that the students are just doing more than memorizing. They're identifying, they're describing, they're putting in sequence, they're applying. Those are the key words from the central focus in the lesson plan that I want y'all to make sure that you emphasize. Okay? So students are going to be able to identify that is what is said here. Now, in my standard, when I was looking at it, it doesn't say that. So I have to rewrite these learning objectives to kind of fit with what we need moving forward, not just for our Troy template, but for EdTPA, so that you will pass. So get used to writing it in that format, okay? So I go into mine, look what I've done. And that's exactly what I have in my learning objectives. Students are able to consider the different perspectives of those involved in a cyberbullying incident. Students identify ways to be an upstander. Students problem solve potential challenges. Isn't that much better? This is a solid learning objective. These are exactly what will get you not only a good grade in my class, but it'll get you all the way through the entire EdTPA process. In the notes section, right, 2 objectives will suffice here. I wanted to add a third because it aligned to my design thinking standard. Okay. That's the science of our jobs. We're going to go in and go, you know what? This third one here, that's key because I'm getting them to think. I'm getting them to be able to identify future problems and be able to do something about it. Make sense? So that's the lesson of objectives. Rewrite them, rephrase them. Okay. If you write yours and you don't know if they're the way they should be, just share it with me later. By the way, because I'm doing this in the Google Docs, if you share it with me, right, and you just go in here and you share it with Dr. Weldon, and I'm using my rolandweldon@gmail.com. All you got to do is just share it with me. You can add me as an editor, okay, but email me, right, and let me know. Say, hey, can you look at this and see what you think, and I'll let you know. Okay. And I will open that up and let people see it. And next week, we'll have a place for you to be able to share this activity. Okay. And I'll let you get feedback that way. So that is our lesson objectives. Okay. So looking at where we were, lesson objectives. Now the central focus. Okay. Now the central focus is going to be where when you write, okay, and I think I have it inside of here, you're going to want to have at least 3 sentences here. Now, the one thing that EdTPA and the other folks are putting in is bullets right here that kind of describe what the students are going to be able to do. Now, this is in more detail than the lesson objectives, okay? And you'll notice that moving forward. These are the things that the students are going to be addressing throughout. This is just an overview. Make sense? So here's what I wrote. I scroll down here, and in my central focus, I did this first. I typed this. Okay? And over on the right, this is my rationale for this actual lesson. I'm going to look at that. That's going to be one of the first things I read. It's going to be your rationale. And it even says that over here underneath here, it has to be at least 3 sentences. I like 3 good ones. Okay? So that's mine as it moves forward. There's more underneath there. And it goes all the way to there. Okay? Let's see. Over here, it's students can identify, describe, and apply. And this is where I would put this information here. And I need to rephrase that. Okay, I just rephrased. And I ain't gonna let me in there. All right. All good. All right. So that is what I'm looking for when we're doing our focus. They can identify all participant types in the incident, and they can relate the similarities and differences between cyberbullying and traditional bullying. That one's big. In here, I probably also could identify or define, describe, and define participants in a cyber situation. And I could also add other information. I'm going to move on, but look what it says. Always state lesson objectives in terms of what the student outcomes will be. If you notice that students can, students will. All right. So I like will sometimes better than will. Will states that they're going to be doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the will. Even though the other one said can, will some more, how would you put this? Higher expectations. They will do it. Be careful with your language. You see what happens here? Mine always tries to go back into a possession. I don't want to get too bogged down in these editing components, but you'll see that that's what I did on the central focus. All right. 3 sentences is what they want here. The bullets were added, and that was what I've noticed from EdTPA. Now, if you just put 3 sentences in here, that will be fine. But if you put bullets, it's just basically telling you the outcomes that you expect from your students here. You understand that? These are outcomes. So think outcomes. I'm even going to put that in here. Think outcomes. Make sense? That's the difference between these two. Moving forward, next part, essential question. What the learner should be able to answer on why we are doing this lesson or activity. It's the 1 sentence. I noticed though in some of the examples that EdTPA has, shown as solid, very proficient. This person had 4 essential questions. I'm not asking for 4. Okay. And you'll notice in mine, as I scroll down, and we're going to stop this video after this. This will be the halfway point. That's my 1 essential question. And I don't know if you've noticed, but every one of my lectures has an essential question. Everyone has one. I like one. And as I'm saying over here on the right, I'm a proponent of 1 essential question. It helps when a student is asked, why are we doing this? I have administrators that love to come to your room and go, explain to me why we're doing this lesson. Can you tell me the importance of what you're doing now? If they can't, your principals are like, wow. So you haven't attached the legitimacy of why we're doing this, okay, into a real world application. So you can't. It's tough to do on everything you do, but when you want to always circle back to the simplistic 1 question answer. I know that there's like essential questions here, but that's almost like for an it's tough to say. I like 1 question. Okay, keep it simple. If you have a second one, that's fine, but I would not put more than 2 here. So that's where we are. That is where I'm stopping. That's the halfway point here. So what did I cover so far? Right? I went in, I determined a title, a target audience, and the date of delivery. You won't know this until the date you deliver it. Second, your standards are important. Very important that you have these in here, right? You may have to do some exploring, but you need something to attach this to. Does it have to be in this format? No, it can be in that format. Right here at the top. See? Just showing you. Next, lesson objectives. It's going to be stated by students will be able to. Students are able to. Students identify. I'd like for you to take the action word that the students have here, and I want you to emphasize it because that's exactly what's going to be required of you when you graduate with or do your internship. Remember, central focus, at least 3 sentences right here. Do you have to put the bullet list in here? No, you do not have to put these in here, but if you want to make a higher grade when you get out and possibly pass EdTPA, I would put these in. Strongly recommend rephrasing these so that you know what the students are going to be doing from this activity. These are the 3 bullets. So if people leave these out, that just tells me that you're not going to go above and beyond. But if you put them in, I'll be happy for you. Moving forward, the essential question is paramount. I will be looking at this. Spoiler alert, this is the first thing I look at in your lesson. I go and I see if you've thought about what you're doing. If this is just a standard generic, students will learn how to add numbers from 1 to 10, I will be a little disappointed. I want a little bit more here. I want something that is a big ticket. It's going to be a flag. It's like, all right, there we go. Nice. Okay, so that is the first half of your lesson plan. I'm going to stop this video here so you don't have to watch 2 30-minute videos. And we'll get started with the next part, addressing the IP element in just a few minutes. And that's where we're going to be next.